No way. This is fake.
Is it fake, Steve, or is this you after closing time when Jack is taking out the trash in the back? Take a good look.
I said I didn't do it.
Police officer saw. Disabled veteran. Blamed for theft. The truth she uncovered stunned the whole diner. The lunch crowd's buzz faded as Officer Lisa Nguyen glanced at the trembling, bandaged hand of Jack Turner, the busboy. She watched his Marine Corps pin glint each time he cleared tables, the only sign of pride left after weeks of humiliation. Jack, still recovering from a shrapnel injury that tore nerves in his hand, faced more than pain. Steve, the manager, blamed him for stolen cash in the register. If the cop believed Steve, Jack could lose his last lifeline. But Lisa, dining alone in her booth, knew something others missed. This wasn't just a case of missing tips. It was a test of who saw the real cost behind a veteran's battered dignity. Jack Turner had carried a squad mate from a burning Humvee outside Fallujah Palm, melting around steel while bullets snapped overhead. The explosion shattered nerve and bone, leaving his dominant hand in bandages and his knights in terror. Honorably discharged, Jack landed here scraping greasy plates, ducking behind "yes sir" and "sorry sir" for peace. The diner became his battlefield, nowhere to hide, but something at least to do. He was reliable, first and last out, never late, always steady, never taking more overtime than anyone else. No slack, not even when agony shot up his forearm with every tray. Stacking cups was easier than facing memories or Steve. Steve, 38, and desperate to impress the absentee owner, built his authority on fear. He called Jack hero with a sneer-muttered armchair Marine to kitchen staff and told newcomers not to trust veterans with dark pasts. When small sums began vanishing from the register, misplaced tip jars, $50 here, $20 there, Steve was quick. Only someone with nothing to lose would do this right. Marine, Steve watched for falters in Jack's limp grip, called him slow or useless, assigned him the worst shifts, then dropped hints that the register only came up short when the veteran is around. Officer Lisa Nguyen, dressed in civilian jeans, worked cases quietly and saw more than most. Weeks ago, the real owner flagged Steve's management, and Lisa started observing a friendly cop. She asked about Jack's hand, bought coffee, noted Steve's special access to the safe until, and waited. She believed in service fairness and catching criminals who preyed on the wounded. Did the war teach you to mop with one hand? Turner Steve's baritone boomed across the kitchen as Jack slipped a saucer, clattering to the tile. Jack muttered, "Sorry, boss," and retrieved the plate. His face burned. The dishwasher winked supportively, but no one said a word. Steve's temper was legend. Two waitresses shot Jack sympathetic glances, but Steve's petty tyranny put food on their tables too. At lunch, Lisa watched Jack struggle with heavy trays. Instead of cutting corners, Jack always double-checked orders. He never pocketed cash tips, always declared them even as his own coins went into the coffee can for break room snacks. Patrons whispered appreciation, pressing small extra bills into his hand. He always put them along with everyone else's right into the community jar, even when his own wallet was thin. When the third register check came up $40 short, Steve made his move in front of the whole staff, his voice dripping with accusation. Funny Turner's schedule always lines up with the missing cash. He paraded Jack in front of counter guests. We value our veterans here, but responsibility is responsibility. I'll have to call the police unless you admit it, Jack. The line cook hesitated, his fists white on the counter. Jack wouldn't. Steve cut him off. "You want to roll your dice for a thief?" Lisa's eyes flickered. She checked her phone, a message from the real owner. Ready, Lisa waited. Steve continued his grandstanding. Jack stood straight, bruised in body but backbone unbroken. He said, "I've got nothing to say. I didn't do it, sir. Everyone says that. You have military discipline. You'll confess to a badge then." Steve finally called out, "Officer, can you step up here for official business?" A hush fell. Steve's eyes scanned the booths, knowing Lisa stopped by daily thinking he had his ace. "Officer, you've seen our security situation here. You know how hard it is to trust people from certain backgrounds." Lisa's expression chilled. "I see and hear a lot, yes." Jack's face was tight from pain and humiliation, but he lifted his bandaged hand. "You can check my locker, my pockets. Nothing to hide." Steve snorted. "Of course not. You're a pro at hiding things, right, soldier?" Customers shifted nervously, one or two putting away their phones after snapping photos. The old-timer at the booth, Vietnam vet's cap peeling, just glared daggers at Steve. Lisa drew out her notebook. "Maybe we should all review the facts, starting with a look at the camera footage, since you brought official attention onto the floor." Steve stiffened for the first time. As Lisa spoke, an unexpected unity emerged. A regular Miss Jean, retired school teacher, raised her trembling voice. "That boy's done every dirty dish since the day you hired him. You'll see him on those cameras all right, working when others cut breaks. Didn't I see you lock the safe every day yourself?" Steve, others chimed in one by one, skepticism turning in Jack's favor. "I always see Jack hand in the tip jar, never takes a dime, even his. He helped my mother down the step he didn't steal." Even the dishwasher, nervous, nodded. At close, Steve is always the last to touch the register. Lisa felt the change. The fear Steve built was cracking. She locked eyes with Jack, who gave a small, grateful nod. Lisa played her part deliberately. "I'm investigating a pattern of small-scale thefts at diners in the area," she said. "We've worked with owners to install temporary auxiliary cameras, hidden post-closure motion triggered." She glanced significantly at the security mirror. No one ever noticed then at Steve, who turned pale. "Before we move on, I'll ask the owner to step out," Lisa called. The door to the back office opened. The real owner, Ms. Kim, appeared, glaring at Steve. Lisa handed her phone with a clip cued of the previous night's footage. It showed Steve alone after close opening the register, removing cash and slipping it into his jacket, then logging a register balance correction on the sheet while Jack was out back on trash duty. Ms. Kim nodded grimly. "Officer, I think we should talk about pressing charges against Manager Steve." Gasps from the staff. The dam broke. Two waitresses started to cry. Another finally whispered, "I knew it wasn't Jack." Steve panicked. "You set me up? You all want to ruin me for some crippled vet?" Lisa's voice was ice, now unimpressed. "Don't insult the Corps in my presence. And you're under arrest for embezzlement, filing false charges, and workplace harassment of a disabled veteran." The customers and staff erupted. One of the cooks approached, hands shaking, saying quietly to Jack, "Sorry, I should have said something sooner." Lisa cuffed Steve in front of everyone. "In this country, we don't let the strong prey on the wounded. Jack sacrificed for all of us. The least we do is stand up for him when no one else will." For the first time in weeks, Jack stood tall. His bandaged hand trembled, but his chin lifted. Lisa smiled at him, a faint conspiratorial nod. "It's over now, Jack," she said. "We saw you. The right people always notice." The room burst into applause. The old vet from the booth stepped over and saluted, raspy and full of self-respect, "Semper Fi, son." Jack, for the first time, let himself smile back. Semper Fi, sir. Steve's outrage crumbled into blubbered denials as Lisa read him his rights and led him from behind the counter. Customers filmed on their phones, cheers breaking out in the wake of his departure. The hush of fear that hung over Willow Diner vanished, replaced by murmured thanks and relief. Lisa held up her hands, calming the room. What happened here is what happens when the powerful try to blame the voiceless. But justice is served when we remember who built, who worked, who protected. Tonight, this place stood up for what's right. Ms. Kim held Jack by the shoulders, apologizing in tears. I trusted Steve too long. Thank you for not quitting Jack. The district crime unit arrived soon after taking statements, collecting tapes, and securing the safe. The embezzlement and manipulation were more widespread than anyone knew. Lisa's investigation, months in the making, was about to break open other frauds too. Even through the chaos, it was Jack's bandaged hand, still lifting cutlery and buzzing tables as the night wore on, that drew admiration from all who returned. News traveled fast. Within hours, veteran groups in the town sent messages quick to honor one of their own. The old Marine in the corner saluted again, telling Lisa quietly, "Some battles never end for folks like us, but this restores some faith." Lisa called Jack's VA rep herself, ensuring he'd have time off for physical therapy. Ms. Kim, wishing to make amends, promoted Jack to the new floor supervisor position, effective immediately, and with a no lifting until fully healed policy. She insisted, "You showed us what strength looks like. Grace under fire." The staff assembled, forming a living wall of support around Jack. The customers who had looked away now shook his hand on their way out, some even hugging him, many whispering shame at their own silence, but grateful for the dignity he showed in the storm. One older woman pressed an American flag pin into Jack's good hand. "My husband came home wounded from Nam. Don't you hide your courage, son. Wear this." Jack nodded, voice thick. "Thank you, ma'am. I won't." Ms. Kim stood tall at closing, addressing the remaining guests. "We've always called Willow Diner the second kitchen of Main Street. Well, let's say it tonight. As long as Jack Turner works here, this place will be a safe harbor for all who serve and anyone who's ever been counted out." Lisa, preparing her final notes for her report, caught Jack's eye. She smiled. "Protecting home is service too. You did your job, Jack. Let us do ours." She winked. "The Corps wasn't built for men alone, you know." Jack, for a moment, let himself stand tall. Maybe not. But sometimes it just takes one person noticing. Jack settled into his new supervisor role deftly. His shifts were filled with respectful greetings and quiet nods. Regulars learned to ask about his injury, and Jack, never boastful, shared just enough to remind them that uniform or not service came in many forms. When children peered curiously at his bandage and medals, he'd kneel, telling stories of bravery, teamwork, and never giving up without focusing on the pain or ugliness. For Jack, the story had changed. He could look people in the eye again. The staff, at Jack's suggestion, started Thank You Thursdays, 1 free coffee for any veteran or first responder. The jar, once meant for coffee snacks, now became a donation fund for the local VA hospital. On Jack's first day as supervisor, the diner filled with more veterans than ever. Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines, they wore hats and jackets, some in wheelchairs or with service dogs. Lisa, stopping in, greeted each by name. Ms. Kim had framed a photo of Jack in uniform, placing it by the register next to a plaque, Jack Turner, USMC, proof that honor is not what's worn, but how one stands under fire. Customers left notes of thanks, flowers, even pie for Jack. Willow Diner became known statewide as the place nobody got left behind. Jack's hand healed and his soul slowly followed. New employees were trained by him in more than customer service. They learned about solidarity, ethics, and kindness under pressure. He donated part of his first supervisor paycheck to a veteran support fund and helped Lisa run a new community-involved safety night at the diner. In time, Jack reclaimed the best of his Marine self: quiet strength, relentless work ethic. Self-worth realized not by medals, but by community trust restored. He wore his flag pin every day. Lisa's investigation of Steve's crimes revealed similar abuse schemes at other businesses. Police and City Hall launched mandatory workplace fairness and anti-exploitation training. The story of the busboy with the wounded hand made the local news, then the papers. Veterans from nearby counties visited Willow, finding in Jack's story their own redemption and the town's change of heart. Community groups, PTA, local unions, even business owners invited veterans to their boards and events. Ms. Kim made Willow Diner a model for ethical hiring, disability access, and veteran transition programs. Jack became a champion for veterans' workplace rights, not a victim, but a visible success story. Jack never forgot the day Lisa stepped in. To serve is to stand up for the right thing, no matter how noisy the world gets, he'd say to new hires. Quiet and humble, he led by watching out for those others overlooked. When a new dishwasher, also a military vet, stumbled nervously at his first shift, Jack was first to help, not criticize. Wordless understanding passed between them. Jack was a Marine serving community, now doing his duty at home. Justice wasn't his battle alone, it became the heartbeat of a diner and the value of a town. It took one officer's attention, one employer's belief, and one wounded veteran's determination to turn a story of false blame into a testament to honor. True service, military or civilian, means protecting the most vulnerable, even when nobody is watching. A Marine never stands alone. Sometimes he just needs someone to look and care long enough to see the truth. In the end, Jack Turner learned that resilience and dignity aren't in medals or muscles, but in standing tall, bandaged hand, battered heart, and all in a world that sometimes forgets all that has been given for its safety.